Semitic religion. It says see also religions of the ancient Near East, ancient Semitic religion, Canaanite religion, and Punic religion. Generic, see also Bel, Zeus, Belos, and other figures named Belus. Now Bel right here is actually that's actually Babylonian, that's not Sumerian. So Mesopotamia, at least they're saying it's just Mesopotamia. But here they're saying Akkad, Assyria, and well, yeah, okay, as long as they're not mentioning Babylonia. Akkad is kind of stretching it though, because the Akkadians didn't call him Bel. So
what did they call him?
Bel, I believe, is it's either, I think it's Enlil or it's Anu. So.
I feel like, yeah, and I knew, no, that's, what's the name for father or dad?
That's Anana.
Anana, that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Anana. Or Nana. Anana is Ishtar. Nana is her father.
And Ishtar is Isis, and Isis can be sometimes correlated as the mother of Jesus in some stories.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, like in Sumerian, the Akkadian Balu, in Northwest Semitic Baal, as well as its feminine form Baal-la, was used as a title of various deities. Now, In is what I was telling you about, it means Lord. Len is the Sumerian cuneiform for Lord or priest. Originally, it seemed to have been used to designate a high priest or priestess of the Sumerian city-state's patron deity, a position that entailed political power as well. It may also have been the original title of the ruler of Uruk, and see Lugal. Now Lugal is Sumerian, and we'll come back to that later on. We're trying to focus on the Canaanites. Let's see. Now, like in the Sumerian, the Akkadian Baal, and the Northwest Semitic Baal, as well as the feminine Baal, was used as title for deities in Mesopotamia and Semitic pantheons. Only a definitive article, genitive, or epithet or context could establish which particular god was meant. Baal was also used as a proper name for the third millennium, by the third millennium BCE. This is for Hadad. When he appears in a list of deities at Abu Salabik, most modern scholarships asserts that this Baal, usually distinguished as the Lord Ha-Baal, was identical with the storm and fertility god Hadad. It also appears in the form of Baal Hadu. Scholars propose that as the cult of Hadad increased in importance, his true name came to be seen as too holy for any but the high priest to speak aloud, and the alias Lord Baal was used instead, as Bel was used for Marduk. And now, see, I don't believe they got that right, because Marduk and Bel were two separate deities. Instead of Bel was used for Marduk among the Babylonians, and Adonai for Yahweh among the Israelites. Yeah, Bel and Marduk were two different deities altogether. So, Bel is actually Enlil, which is Lord of the Sky. And that is where Bel comes from. It was changed from Enlil to Bel because the Babylonians thought of the old pantheon as nameless gods. So they dropped in stature, you know what I'm saying? So the Babylonians decided to name their gods, and that's when they came up with Marduk, who took the place of the nameless gods. So.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense then.
Yeah. And I've actually had to bring it up to people because you'll hear them like saturate these stories with names that should have been used for the Babylonians instead of the Sumerians, and then vice versa. And then the Assyrians too, they're different than the Babylonians. So you got 3 cultures that are just, their stories are getting saturated into one another, and there's time periods.
What's the major, like, why is it, like, to where you think they would be getting paths crossed? Like, is it because of them having some type of alternate connection? Or?
No, it's just a matter of time. Like, between Inanna and Ishtar, you're talking a good 2, maybe 3,000 years. You know what I mean? That's like us and the Roman Empire. You know what I mean? So, of course, names are going to change, and your beliefs in that deity is going to change over time. You know what I mean? So, I think that's really what it was. As time went by, the names changed, and the deity itself had changed too. You know. But you still have to make that distinction. This is Inanna. This is Ishtar. You know, 2 separate deities with the same name, because they did change from this point to this point. There were changes, you know, and the same goes with Bel and Enlil. You know, 2 completely different deities by the time the Babylonians came along. I mean, the Sumerians were long forgotten by the time the Babylonians came around, so they were still using their language for scholars and to write on tablets and stuff, but other than that, they didn't use the Sumerian language. It was all Semitic. So
it's the timeline that shows the actual differentiation as opposed to anything else. That's how you can tell it's different cultures. But at the same time, they used the wrong one. They took different names to describe the wrong people.
It's really cool too when you can actually see a name and you can say, look, that's during that time period, and this is during this time period, you know, because before I couldn't do that stuff, but now I can tell just by the name of these deities what time period they were in, you know. I can also tell, okay, now they're talking about the Sumerians and they're saying Marduk, so I know that they're not being factual, because they're not actually doing the research and finding out Marduk had nothing to do with the Sumerians, you know. It's pretty cool is all I'm saying, that I can actually tell that now, because before, if I listen to people, I can get sucked into a lot of the historical inaccuracies and think that it's true, you know. I like that. So
that's why it's always important to do your own research, no matter what someone's telling you. That's something I had to learn, because people will misguide you on purpose. They got a song about it. They'll be like, fake friends write the wrong answers on the mirror. You saw Slumdog Millionaire before, right? And the dude was about to win, and the host of the show came in there and wrote the answer on the mirror, and it was the wrong answer. So he only had 2 left. He was down to 50-50, and it was like the answer was like B or D, and I think he wrote B or whatever the letter he wrote on the mirror was the wrong answer. And because the host and the guy that was in the chair was in the bathroom together, and he was just like, make it easy and stuff. and he wrote the wrong answer in the mirror, and then the dude went back and he said the opposite of what he told him. He ended up winning the money. And so fake frames like the wrong answers in the mirror for me. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Now, a minority proposed that Baal was a native Canaanite deity whose cult was identified with or absorbed aspects of a god. Regardless of their original relationship, by the first millennium BCE, the two were distinct. Hadad was worshipped by the Aramaeans and Baal by the Phoenicians and other Canaanites. The Phoenician Baal is generally identified as El. Now, that has a citation next to it, but I mean, Baal is Lord, so El is actually the same thing. El is the term that's used for Lord as well. El is the Northwest Semitic word meaning God or deity. So yeah, Lord God. So maybe that would be it. Like, because that's kind of a good point. Baal is Lord, and El is God or deity, or referring to any one of multiple major ancient Near Eastern deities.
Yeah, the Moors call themselves El and they. Like, they usually they. Like, men can be they too, but for the most part, women are usually they and men are usually El for the Moors. Well, it's not religion, it's culture.
A rare form, Elah, represents the predicate form in Old Akkadian and in Amorite. The word is derived from the Proto-Semitic Il, meaning God. It's interesting. Now, Baal is well attested in surviving inscriptions and was popular in theophoric names throughout the Levant, but he is usually mentioned along with other gods, his own field of action being seldom defined. Nevertheless, Ugarit records show him as a weather god, with particular power over lightning, wind, rain, and fertility. The dry summers of the area were explained as Baal's time in the underworld, and his return in autumn was said to cause the storms which revived the land. Thus, the worship of Baal in Canaan, where he eventually supplanted El as the leader of the gods and patron of kingship, was connected to the region's dependence on rainfall for its agriculture. Unlike Egypt and Mesopotamia, which focused on irrigation from their major rivers, anxiety about the availability of water for crops and trees increased the importance of his cult, which focused attention on his role as a rain god. He was also called upon during battle, showing that he was thought to intervene actively in the world of man. Unlike the more aloof El, the Lebanese city of Baalbek was named after Baal. And Baalbek is where they have those mysterious structures that a lot of ancient astronauts talk about, which I ain't gonna get into it too much. I'll just mention it, but they have huge concrete slabs that, according to folklore, giants place these slabs down in Baalbek, which is impossible for people during that time period to have done themselves, because there's no explanation for it.
Hey, I gotta go. I'm in the middle of a bunch of stuff right now. I'm getting really busy. But
Alright.
I'll tune in somewhere. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Have a good night.
So Ballback is like I said, I don't want to get into the controversy and stuff like that, and the conspiracy on my history stuff. But I just did want to mention that there is folklores about that, and it has a lot to do with Phoenician folklore. It goes back, way back. I mean, they talk about it all through history about the giants and stuff like that. So that is pretty interesting. No matter how you look at it, it's pretty interesting. It fascinated people all this time.